Yo, what's going on, snipers, and welcome back to your calendars franchise mode here in NHL 25. So in last episode, if you did not catch it, we had the second half of the season sim, and it was a very good season for this team as we finished 53, 22, and 7. And pretty much everything worked well except for our special teams in a way, because we were the fourth best offensive team and the second best defensive team. But for some reason, our power play was 14th and our penalty kill was 18th, so we didn't really have the best special teams. But 5-on-5, we were really good. So if there's going to be anything that sets us back in the postseason, it could be our special teams. But I do expect those to potentially improve as we go on through the playoffs. But we're going to be taking on the Philadelphia Flyers in the first round of the playoffs. And they're kind of an interesting team because I do think they have a very good roster. But they finished with a very below average record of 40, 34, and 8. So I kind of feel like they could be identified as a cheese team based on the record. But they obviously aren't really a cheese team because they're actually good on paper. So kind of a little bit scared about that, but this is their offensive core, and we've played them before in the playoffs. I think it was last season, if I remember right, maybe in the second round. But you can see they have a very solid top line. Their second line is maybe one of the better second lines you've seen in the NHL. Then it kind of dips off a bit in the bottom six, but I mean, Caleb Desnoyers is a pretty solid third-line center. And then from a defensive standpoint, their defensive core is kind of strong on both ends in a way. Obviously, their top six pairing's a little bit weak, though, but it's mainly because Osgood dropped off due to morale, due to ice time, I think. But their top four is pretty solid. They do have a 90 overall on it, so they actually have a good stud defender. And then from a goaltending perspective, this is the one area that's a little bit lower end. It's just because Devin Levi's dropped off a cliff. But yeah, this goaltending tandem can win games, so I'm a little bit worried on that. And then there is their depth options. So hopefully we can find a way to beat them. I do think we obviously have the better team on paper, but I think it could be a lot closer than the records actually suggest, because we had 13 more wins in them, but I still think it could be one of those series that go to Game 7 or something like that, depending on how our team actually wants to play in this postseason. So this is what our lineup is looking like going into this matchup. As we did make a trade in last episode, we got rid of Ellington just because Ellington was losing morale due to ice time. But you can see we still have a very good team on paper. Crane, Mackin, and Giordano, Ragnarsson, Bjorkstrand, and Sealfido. A third line of Biggers, Leahy, and Nielkainen. And a fourth line of Ulanov, Korliuk, and Riley Haley, who is playing to start off the playoffs. If he's really bad defensively and not really doing much offense like he did during the regular season, I might have to take him out for a more defensively minded guy like Jarvis instead, or Sundin. So there is a chance that Haley might be only in the lineup for a little bit, but we'll see what he could do. And then from a defensive standpoint, we have still our awesome defensive core of Houghton and Tatar, Holmstrom, Novoseltsev, and then Schaefer and Haken. And of course, from our goaltending perspective, it's still Solovyov and Lutowski. So hopefully Solovyov has a good playoffs ahead of him, since we are the second best defensive team. He has had a really good year ahead of him so far. I don't really know how he's going to do in the postseason. Obviously, the postseason, usually in his career, he's actually better than the regular season, at least over the last few years and stuff like that. So I'm really hoping that he continues that going forward and can maybe give us a high up chance to win games, because if we get our goaltending to play good like it did during the season and our defensive play, and we still get that offense as well from the regular season, I think we could definitely be a threat. The only thing, like I said, I'm worried about is the special teams, but the special teams don't even look that bad on paper, so I don't know if they're just under-simulating because of the coach or whatever, but we do have a +5 on our first unit, and we have an even 0 on our second unit, so it should be simulating better than it did during the season. And then from our penalty kill perspective, we do also have some solid chemistry on all three, I think, of our penalty kill units, right? Yeah. So we'll see if this team is good enough to make a good push again this year. Obviously, last year was a long run for this team, so I'm hoping that we can kind of get back to a Stanley Cup Finals again this year, or a conference finals, I guess, because I guess we got eliminated in the conference finals against Montreal, right? So I'm hoping that this team could go on a good run, but obviously who knows what's going to happen. So we've had some good runs in the past in these last 5 years, but we have not been able to still put it together and win ourselves a Stanley Cup. So let's see if we could find a way to get ourselves, I guess, 16 wins, and we'll see if we can win ourselves a Stanley Cup. But there was no comments in the last episode, so I think we're pretty much ready to go. But you can see also the Flyers, why they also kind of scare me during the regular season. They weren't very good offensively and defensively, but they made the playoffs. They had a really good power play, so that power play might have carried them into the postseason. And I kind of feel like they could find definitely that offensive next level in the playoffs just based on how good their team looks. So I'm kind of surprised they were the 17th best offensive team with that core. But definitely it's going to be a closer matchup than it might suggest. So let's see if we can use the home ice to our advantage, and also that experience that we have from last year and a couple years back as well. So far, Houghton's been one of my MVPs of this team season and all that again, and also Crane. Hopefully those two guys continue to contribute in the postseason as well. Alright, so with that said, let's get to game number 1, see what we could do here. But like I said, I am a little bit scared that Philadelphia could come out better than they were actually during the season. Maybe they just have a bad coach, but we'll see what ends up happening here in game number 1. First period. I kind of expected it. I kind of predicted that we were not going to come out good against the Flyers. The Flyers, like I said, they look really good on paper, but the record doesn't suggest it. I think if they beat us, they could easily win a Stanley Cup, despite their goaltending. They scored 3 goals in that first period, so that's not an ideal way to start. 3 goals on 12 shots. Newbury, Desnoyers, and then Holmstrom got us on the board, which is good, but Boychuk scores a couple minutes later. Shots are in our favor, 13-12, so we're still in this game, but we definitely need more out of Solovyov and our defensive play that we had during the regular season. Like, I kind of feel like this could end up being like what happened with my Albuquerque series recently, because with my Albuquerque series, the San Jose Sharks undersimulated, I feel like, a bit. We end up having to face them in the first round, and then they went on to beat us easily and get themselves all the way to a Cup Finals where they won the Stanley Cup. So kind of feel like Philadelphia is like one of those type of teams as well. So hopefully I'm not right about that. Hopefully we find a way to get maybe a goal back in the second period, pull within 1, or find a way to get 2 goals in the second period, tie the game up. But we're still in it. Let's just find a better goaltending and better defensive play going forward. Second period. Still 3-1. That's not ideal, but it's not the worst case result, because at the worst case result, we could have been down like 5-1 or something instead, but we're still within 2 goals. We did outshoot them badly in the second period, but Devin Levi right now seems like a thorn in our side. Shots are 30-18, but we're down by a couple goals, so can we find a way to get more shots in the third period and maybe get ourselves back into this game? We just need 1, and maybe we could get 2. So let's see what happens. Third period underway. Can we get an early goal to pull us within 1 potentially? Come on, boys. It's literally an 80 overall goaltender. I know you could score on him. And Michkov makes it 4-1. Letowski's actually apparently in net now after that first period. But it looks like Philadelphia is going to steal one of our home games, which is not ideal, but we could definitely steal one of theirs back. So we just got to be much better defensively. Our goaltenders need to be better. Eklund made it 5-1, but Sealfido gets us to 5-2. Neal kind of makes it 5-3, but those 2 goals in the third period make a difference. We should have played a little bit better defensively to start off that period. Could have came back and tied it up with those 2 late goals, but instead we're going to be losing game 1, despite outshooting them 45-30. So not ideal. I mean, I do like our offensive play for getting a good amount of chances, but we need to find ways to convert. And then I say from a defensive/goaltending perspective, that was a very, very inconsistent game, and a game that we don't typically have. So Holmstrom from Bigris and Leahy, and then our only other 2 goals, Sealfido from Tatar, and Anil Kainen from Novoseltsev and Bigris. So Bigris is leading the team in points right now, which is also not a great thing. We need to get our top 6 going a little bit more so. And the worst plus-minus is Bjorkstrand, who's obviously in the top 6. He only played 9 minutes that game, so hopefully he didn't get injured, because if he did get injured, that's going to be a substantial loss, even though he wasn't crazy good last season. But both goaltenders did really rough in that first game, so let's hope that we can respond in game 2, because if we don't, this could end up being a really bad, disastrous series for our team in the first round. Like, we should definitely be better, and it looks like Bjorkstrand was injured. Yep, he was. Oh, Solovyov was injured too? Oh my goodness, what the hell? I think Solovyov and Bjorkstrand were injured in that first game. Well, that is probably one of the worst things you could have happen. You'd lose your starting goaltender, which means after Solovyov starting the first period, he must have got injured or something like that. That's why Letowski came in. Letowski was absolutely dreadful too. That means we're going to have to rely on him and then one of our goalies from the minors. But man, that sucks. It's only for 6 days, but that's still like 2 to 3 games, right? So, oof. So, yeah, Solovyov is injured, so we're going to have to call up, I guess, Schultz will call up. Wisniewski's the 3rd string goalie down there. We could call up Komatov, who has elite potential, but I don't think I want to do that yet. So we'll call up the best overall goaltender in Schultz, and he will get a chance to play some games. Meanwhile, Komatov will start in the AHL playoffs if the AHL team's in the playoffs, which I don't know if they are. And apparently Bjorkstrand's actually still able to play, but he's not fully healthy. So Looks like the Flyers are kind of going back to their goon tactics and kind of taking out our best players, unfortunately. But we'll put Schultz in. I think he'll be our backup for sure, but we'll see if he ends up getting to play any games in these next few games while we wait for Solovyov to return. Hopefully Bjorkstrand's back to full health before the next game, just because it's a day-to-day thing. But yes, losing Solovyov in the first game kind of sucks. Like I said, he wasn't great in game one anyways, but Letowski wasn't really good in replacements, so at least we do have 3 goalies in the AHL that we could kind of rotate around for, so the AHL team doesn't get really affected that much. Alright, so yeah, he's not going to be back till game 4, Solovyov, so we got to find ways to win it without our number 1 goaltender, so hopefully this team can figure itself out defensively. If we can't, I might have to make some adjustments to our defensive core and also to our offensive core. Alright, let's get to game number 2, see if we could get a response. Like I said, if we have a really bad game again, I'm going to make some adjustments, but who knows what could happen with Letowski actually starting this game. There is a chance if Letowski plays bad this game, I might honestly try the AHL goaltender. I know it's kind of weird because he's only a 75 overall, but that honestly might be the play if Letowski can't play that good. So let's see what happens in this next game. Game number 2, still on home ice. Can we tie the series at least up heading to Philadelphia? First period. 3-0 us. That's a great start. There's a much better start than last game, because last game, obviously, we were down 3-1 after the first, but we are badly out shooting them as well after that first period, so that's definitely a good way to start off this game. Leahy, Crane, and Bigris. So Bigris is off to a very good start, which is kind of nice to see a third line doing some work, so that way we don't have to rely heavily on our top line. Like I said, shots are 19-10 in favor of us. So far, so good. Can we get some insurance in the second period and not allow them to get back into it? Second period. 3-1, okay, so it's pretty similar to where it was last game, but we're on the opposite end of it, because last game we were down 3-1 going into the third. This time we're up 3-1 going into the third. So Humphrey scores on Letowski. Shots are 31-21. We're up by 2 goals. Let's just play it safe in this third period and not give them anything. Third period underway. Come on, boys. You got this. There's a big insurance marker, and it's Bigris again. I don't know why Bigris is playing so good. Leahy scores as well, so both third liners, Bigris and Leahy, have a pair of goals in this one. I don't really know why the third line's outscoring every other line, but I'm not going to complain too much. Final few minutes, still up by a lot of goals. Reimer makes it 5-2. And that might be the final. Yes, it is. So after we lost 5-3 in game 1, we respond with a very nice 5-2 victory, out shooting 42-31. So that's a great response. Now, hopefully we could take that type of effort onto the road as well and win some games in Philadelphia. So in terms of the goals, we have Leahy from Nielkainen, Crane from Mäkinen and Novoselica, Bigris from Leahy, Bigris from Leahy again, Leahy from Houghton and Nielkainen, and that was it. So Leahy had a very strong game. Bigris also had a strong game. The third line did really good work for us, especially considering our top 6 hasn't done as much as this line so far. Leahy had a 4-point game. Nielkainen and Bigris both had 2 points. And then you had some guys in our top 6 actually pick up a point. So not too bad on the depth scoring department. Letowski was actually very good starting that game. So Letowski maybe actually been the better of the 2 goaltenders so far, even better than Solovyov. Obviously, Schultz is not going to get the play yet, but at some point if Letowski starts to drop off, we can give Schultz a chance. But right now it looks like Letowski's going to run away with the job for the time being, while Solovyov is out. So the 3 stars, Leahy, the first star, 2 goals, 2 assists. Bigger second star, 2 goals. And Letowski, the third star. Not too bad. Not too bad at all. All right. So at least we took one of our 2 home games, because there also would not have been good going into Philadelphia. But now we need to definitely find a way to win a game in Philadelphia just to get a response to their game 1. As Bjorkstrand's fully healthy, which is good. He's already in the lineup. And also Solovyov is now back from injury, which is great to see. He's not going to be fully healthy, so I am going to have to probably put him as the backup goaltender to Letowski to start off the next game. Just because if he gets re-injured multiple times, it's not going to be great. So let's send Schultz down, back to the AHL. It was good to call him up for a little bit. He might actually get some NHL games at some point, you never know. But let's go back to the goalies here in the NHL, and we will put him back in, Solovyov back in. There you go. So Solovyov, we will probably end up having him as the backup for the next game, just because I feel like it's a kind of a risk putting him in as the starter for the next one. Like, I get he's the best goaltender on this team, But also, if he gets re-injured, he could be out for the rest of the series or something like that. So, yeah, we're probably going to start Letowski for Game 3 again. So let's get Letowski back in net, just because I know it already probably rotated Solovyov back to starter again. So we'll get him back in there. Letowski at least was really good last game, because if he was bad last game, I'd probably be tempted to go back to Solovyov. But like I said, I just don't want him to keep getting injured. So if we get through this game with Letowski playing only and Solovyov doesn't go in net, Solovyov will be back to full health for the next game, which is good. And then we could actually start starting him again, which is good. All right, let's get to this next game in Philadelphia. Let's see if we could find a way to win at least one game in Philadelphia. Like I said, I do think this series could go to 7 games, so we'll see if it continues on that trajectory, if we kind of split road games or not. So here we go, Game 3 on the road. Let's see what we could do, see if we could build off a strong loss game, and hopefully Letowski could play good again. First period, Game 3. 3-1 Philadelphia. Oh my goodness. There is a lack of inconsistency with this team and how we start games right now. Game 1, we are down 3-1 after 1. Game 2, we are up 3-0 after 1. For Game 3, now we're down 3-1 going into the second period, just like Game 1. So Montador opens the scoring for the Flyers, and there was Reimer a couple minutes later, which is not great. Ulanov then scores 5 minutes later, so nice to get a fourth-line goal. And then Barry restores that 2-goal advantage for the Flyers, despite us out shooting him 11-8. So there is a chance that Solovyov might be in net now. 3 goals on 8 shots is a pretty bad start for Letowski, especially considering last game he was very good. Can we find a way to get back into this game in the second period? Like I said, just don't allow them to score anything. Get us 1 goal, and then maybe we could get back in the third, or get 2 goals, and maybe we could tie this one up in the second period. So let's have a good goaltending result regardless in the second period to keep this game at least somewhat close. Second period. 5-2 of them. Oh my goodness. Letowski was still in net, apparently. Freeze scored to make it 4-1. Ulanov scores his second goal of the night to make it 4-2, and then Humphrey makes it 5-2. Right now, our top 6 has not done enough. I feel like it's always been the third and fourth line, so we are probably going to make some adjustments going into next game just to try and get the top 6 to do some stuff, because when you're not getting guys like Crane and Houghton and all those type of guys scoring as much as they're used to, it's kind of a little bit weird. We are also shooting them 25-19, but once again, we're still down by 3 goals. So not an ideal game here for this team. Let's just see what we can do in this third period, but likely we're going to have to make a lot of adjustments going forward with this roster to try and get it to simulate better, because right now we're not playing that defensive style we were in the regular season. And of course, to get a 6th goal, Letowski's still in net, so at least Solovyov hasn't gotten to play yet, because I just don't want him to get re-injured again, but definitely not too good from the goaltending, as Biggers makes it 6-3. Burkholz just answers right back to make it 7-3. And our defensive style is gone completely. Like, we're still scoring good, and we're out shooting them in a lot of these games, but we are just giving up way too many goals. So that's an unfortunate one again. Not a good effort from the team. We need to be much, much better than that. So Ulanov from Novoseltsev and Makinen, and we had Ulanov from Haley and Korolyuk, and then Biggers from Leahy and Nielakainen. So yeah, that third line's been the best line so far, and then the fourth line did work in that game. But if we look at like the plus minuses on this team, yeah, the top 6 has been bad defensively, and they're not scoring hardly anything. And then from a goaltending perspective, Letowski's just been trash at times, and then Solovyov hasn't got to play much because of his injury. It's kind of crazy that the Flyers are this good offensively, though, because like I said, during the regular season, they weren't very good offensively and defensively, but they are a team that should have done better than it actually suggested, so I kind of see why they're scoring a lot, but we definitely need to make some sort of an adjustment, because 2 games giving up 5+ goals is not good. So obviously Solovyov will be starting this next game, but we are going to make some adjustments, as apparently our HL team finished last in the conference, which is kind of surprising, so that's not good. But we are going to make some forward adjustments here. So I've been really liking this third line, so I'm going to keep it all together. The fourth line's been decent at times too. Yeah, the fourth line's been okay. It's not been the best defensively, but like this top 6, Cialfito is only on 1 goal, which is not good, because usually he's a playmaker. Bjorkstrand has nothing going for him. Ragnarsson has nothing going for him. And in this top line, Giordano has nothing. Makinen has 2 assists. And then Crane has only 1 goal, which is not good. So this top 6 is going to get reworked a bit. So we're going to move Cialfito to the top line. And we are going to swap Giordano and Ragnarsson on this side, back and forth. Maybe I put Giordano down the middle. He's worse on face-offs, but let's put Bjorkstrand on the wing. Try that out. And then from a defensive standpoint, we're going to swap Tatar and, not Holmstrom, and a Novoseltsev maybe? Yeah. So it's going to be Novoseltsev and Houghton. Tatar's going to get the play next to Holmstrom and Schaefer and Haken. And goaltending, Solovyov is still not fully healthy apparently, which is kind of surprising because it is the 26th. It said he would be back. But we are going to start him for this next game. Hopefully he doesn't get re-injured. I just can't go back to Letowski after how he's played sometimes. So, and then also, how has Haley been defensively out of curiosity? Because -2. See, that's where I'm a little bit iffy. So I think I'm going to actually take him out of the lineup. And we're going to move Korliuk over to that side. And I'm going to put in a new option on that fourth line. I don't know if Jarvis and Sundin, if they could take faceoffs. Jarvis can't, 67. Sundin, can you take faceoffs? No, you can't either. Let's, who's better defensively? I think Sundin had a good awareness, right? Yeah. Let's put Sundin in this spot. And we're going to actually move Sundin over to the left side instead. Yeah, that's good. So that way Haley comes out considering he's more of an offensive player anyways. We need to play a bit better defensively. That's the only reason that fourth line is getting adjustments. And then our top six is reworked a little bit. And it could be still more adjustments. Like maybe we move Crane back down to the second line at some point and move Ragnarsson up. But we need to find something that works with this team. And we need it now. Like I know we're only down 2-1 in the series, but I just need much, much better defensive results. And I also need maybe better offense from that top six as well. Because if our top six doesn't do enough work, relying on a third and a fourth line to win you games is not exactly how you should win games. So let's see what happens. Game number 4, we're still in Philadelphia, so if we could win this game, it'll be best of 3 going forward. If we lose this game, obviously, then it's going to be pretty tough. It could be the trend where it's like back and forth until game 7, and then finally somebody wins back-to-back games. So if that's the case, we might end up winning a series in 7 games, but I still don't know if I've liked the way we played for the most part. So, except for game 2, I would say. But let's see if we could have a good first period in this game and then take it from there. Hopefully Solovyov doesn't get re-injured after this game. Hopefully he's nice and ready to go full time for the next game too. First period, game 4. 1-1, I'll take it. It's better than being down 3-1 or 3-0. Barry opens the scoring. Mäkinen ties it up 5 minutes later. Shots are in our favor again, 13-10. We've outshot them in every single game too, so we definitely have them in a way, but we don't have them in a way too, because like their goaltender's been able to find ways to make saves, and then they've been able to score goals on limited shots, which is also not ideal. So let's have a good second period here. It looks like our only goal was literally from right inside the net almost, so I don't know what Mäkinen was doing. It looks like he was almost like sitting on top of the goaltender, which is kind of funny. And then Barry's goal on Solovyov was probably just like a glove hand shot or something like that. But can we find a way to get that lead in the second period and make it easier for the third ahead as well? Second period. 3-1 us, let's go. There's the offense again for this team. Sundin and Mäkinen. So Sundin gets thrown in the lineup and scores a pretty big goal to put us up by 2. Mäkinen starting to come alive as well, which means the top 6 is starting to at least start to score some goals. And we aren't going to have to rely on the third or fourth line to do all the work for us. But shots are in Philadelphia's favor now, but we did score 2 goals that period. So shots are 24-23. It's a 3-1 game for us. Let's lock this game down in the third period and tie the series up. Let's see what happens. Third period underway. You got this. This has been a really weird series so far. Like, I don't really know what to make of how our team's been simulating. Like I said, it needs to be better at times, but it also has been good at times too. There's a 4th goal to make it 4-1. Like, we're kind of playing similarly to game 2 again, and not playing as bad as we were in game 1 and 3. So Humphrey makes it 4-2 as Letowski's now in net. So did Solovyov get re-injured midway through the game again? Because I swear to God, if he's got injured again, I'm going to be kind of mad. Because I really don't want to rely on Letowski, so I might have to try a different goaltender or something like that. Like, Letowski's had some strong games so far, but he's also had some very bad ones. So we end up winning this game 4-2. We got outshot 38-31, but we do take a win in Philadelphia. So now it's a best of 3. So Mäkinen from Sealfido and Crane, Sundin from Houghton and Koroliuk, and then Bjorkstrand from Schaefer. So that's good to see our top 6 getting going, and nice to see Sundin contribute to a goal when he just got put in the lineup. His goal actually ended up being a game winner too, so Maybe Sundin will stay in the lineup and Haley will be scratched for a while. So Makinen and Ciofito both had 2 points apiece, and then a bunch of guys on 1. And then, yeah, Solovyov played 19 minutes, allowed 1 goal on 10 shots. And then he got pulled from the game. Guess he got injured. Hopefully not. And then Letowski came in and actually played good. So I don't know what's with Letowski. He's having literally a good game, and then he's having a bad game. So kind of weird on that. I really hope Solovyov is okay, though. Makinen gets first star, Letowski second star, Barry the third star. Like, I probably should have kept Solovyov out for a little bit longer, but we'll see what ends up happening here. Did he get re-injured? No, he did not. Okay, so I guess maybe he got injured in-game, but he is going to be fully healthy now. Yep, awesome. Okay, so that's good news. So we aren't going to have to rely on Letowski to win us games, which is nice. But now it's a best of 3. It's been so back and forth so far. Like I said, Game 1, I do not like our defensive effort and our goaltending. Game 2, I liked our goaltending and our offense and our defensive play. Game 3, I did not like our defensive play. I was okay with our offense, but our top 6 still wasn't doing work. And then this game is another solid game. So, honestly, don't even know what to expect if our team's actually going to find a way to win this series or not. But this is a really weird first round. So anyways, with that said, let's get to the next game. We're going to keep the team the same for the time being. But obviously, if we lose 2 in a row, maybe we make some adjustments. But can we find a way to take our first lead of the series? Because right now, we've only been able to tie the series. We've never had a 3-2 series lead or anything like that. So let's see what ends up happening in this next game. We're back on home ice again. Can we win 2 games in a row? Or is it going to be still back and forth going into the next game? First period. 2-0 us. Okay, that's a good start. Way better start again. Howden and Giordano. So the top 6 is starting to come alive at the right time. These last 2 games, they're starting to score goals, which is nice. Because then we don't have to rely on our third line to do a lot of work. Shots are 9-9. It's a 2-0 game for us after the first period. Let's have a strong defensive second period and make it easier for us. Because obviously I've seen games where you score 2 goals in the first period and then give up 2 in the second. So hopefully that's not one of these type of games. Second period. It is one of those games. God damn it, man. I don't like when I could actually predict shit. It's a 2-2 game going into the third period now. It's because Barry scores and Beaudoin scores. Shots are 23-18 in favor of them as well. I'm not blaming Solovyov on that, though, because I knew the sim engine was going to maybe throw that at us, or maybe we were going to find a way to hold on to that lead. But a lot of the time, the sim engine, if you score 2 goals in the first period or the other team does, the team responds in the second period. So I don't like that. I know that, but it's a 2-2 game going into the third period. Can we find a way to respond after they just tied this game up? Come on, boys. This is a big game. If we have a good third period here, we could take our first lead of the series and maybe find a way to close it out in Philadelphia. So, third period underway. Come on, guys. You got this. Come on, top 6. There you go. Nielikainen, third line goal. Love to see the third line scoring on Springus. So, did Devin Levi get injured or something? Nielikainen scores again. Shout out to Nielikainen. 2 big goals here in this third period. That's huge at this point in this game. Final few minutes still up by a pair of goals because of Nielikainen penalty kill late in this game. We do kill it off. And that's going to be the final. So because of Nielikainen, we have taken our first lead of the series by a score of 4-2. And now we're up 3-2 in this series. So maybe we can win the series 4-2 as well. But final shots 36-28 in favor of the Flyers. We do win this one just like last game. So Nielikainen coming through with the clutch. That third line's been really good because each one of the players on that third line, I think, has 2 goals or more. So it's been really good so far. So Howden from Bjorkstrand and Crane, Giordano from Ragnarsson. They didn't have a good second period, but then Nielikainen scores from Leahy and Schaefer, and then Nielikainen scores from Leahy and Tatar. Leahy's also had a very good first round, so I'm kind of glad that we re-signed him because I was a little bit skeptical re-signing him, but nicely done, guys. All right. Goaltending, 944 from Solovyov. Solovyov might be finally returning to form, hopefully. He gets first star in that game, Nielikainen the second star, and Leahy the third star. All right, so we're 1 win away from the second round. It's not been pretty this first round, but sometimes you need an ugly round to make a beautiful round the next round. I don't really know, because maybe this team's all of a sudden going to turn and change the page a bit because we had some rough games early on. But 3 of our last 4 games, we've only given up 2 goals. So there has been some positivity. Obviously, this game is a really bad outlier game. This game was kind of close. So maybe it's actually better than we think. I'm not too sure. But a really weird round so far. Can we find a way to close out Philadelphia in their home building and get ourselves to the next round? let's find out. Let's keep the team the exact same. If we lose this game, I might make adjustments depending on what type of scoreline it is. But can we close out the Flyers and get ourselves to the second round again? Come on, boys. Let's just keep on getting offense throughout multiple lines if possible. First period, game 6. 2-0 Philadelphia. Ugh. More inconsistencies again. I don't really know what's with this team. I really don't. Now that they're up 2-0 after 1, though, we did see that in last game when we were up 2-0 after 1 that they scored 2 goals in the second period. So we could definitely still tie this game up, but we need to make sure that we're not giving up so much chances because we got outshot 14-8 in that first period. So that's not ideal. Odeline and Burkholz with their goals. Can we get at least 1 goal to potentially get ourselves back into this game? Second period. 3-0 Flyers. That's not good. Odeline scores again. A lot of early goals for the Flyers in this game so far. We might be going to Game 7, and I kind of felt like Game 7 was a possibility. Shots are 23-15 in favor of Philadelphia. That's not looking good so far unless we have a good start to this third period. So maybe give me 1 goal early, 2 goals early, and then maybe we could still come back. But right now it looks like it might be Game 7 back on home ice, which means we might make some more adjustments. But we shouldn't be necessarily going to a Game 7 in the first round, but I kind of expected it because Philadelphia is definitely better than that record suggests. So let's see what happens. Third period. Come on, boys. Give me an early goal on our side. We don't score on that power play. That's unfortunate because that could have helped us get back into this one. Oh, come on, guys. Come on. At least give me a goal to cheer about for next game. It's not looking likely right now. Our offense is just not able to generate enough here, and it looks like, unfortunately, we're going to get shut out in Game 6 in Philadelphia, and it comes down to 1 game to determine who gets to the second round. I expected us to go to Game 7 like I think I predicted it at the beginning of this episode, but at the same time, I know our team is definitely a lot better than the Flyers, but the Flyers definitely are more of a threat than they actually look like. So there was some bad minus players on this team. Bjorkstrand and Ragnarsson were -3, so it looks like the top 6 took a little bit of a hit. And then 900 from Solovyov isn't the worst. So Solovyov definitely is not the blame on that. But Devin Levi shuts us out. So we're going to a Game 7, huh? I honestly don't know who to expect to win this, considering, like, normally when it's a back and forth type of trend, it's one team eventually wins 2 in a row. But this time around, we actually won 2 in a row already. So I don't know what that means for Game 7, but let's see what we could do here in terms of adjustments before Game 7, because we had such a good season. I would hate for it to come to an end in the first round, considering this team should be better than the first round exit. So what do we want to do here? The third line's been fantastic so far, but I think I need to rework still the top 6 a bit. Just trying to see which lines have not been scoring enough. Ragnarsson's been pretty bad so far. Same with Giordano and Bjorkstrand. Yeah, that third line's our second line's not been good really so far. So I think what we're gonna do here is we are going to make an adjustment where Leahy's actually gonna come into the top 6, and then Giordano is gonna play right wing. Bjorkstrand's gonna play third line center. I just need to find something to get going a little bit. Leahy's been probably one of our best players offensively in the series. He's got 8 points in 6 games. Bigris has 5 points. And then Neil Kinan's got 6 points. So that third line in general has been really good. You know what? Actually, what we're going to do is we're going to move our third line to our second line. And our second line is going to be playing third line minutes for 1 game at least. But this is just to try and get that line that's been producing more ice time so they produce more. But this line's been arguably our best line right now. So we got to get them into the top 6. And then this third line, who do I want to have taking faceoffs? Probably Bjorkstrand because of the quick draw. But we need Ragnarsson to be doing better here. Same with Giordano, Bjorkstrand. Yeah, how was Sundin the last 2 games out of curiosity? The 1 goal, even 0, so he's not been bad defensively. From a defensive standpoint, yeah, I'm not going with that. What about this? We're going to go Haken, Tatar, Holmstrom, and Schaefer just to get a little bit better chemistry on defense. And Solovyov, to me, hasn't been too bad. He was early on, but he's okay now. So we're going to run with this as our lineup. How has Ulanov been defensively, out of curiosity? Even 0. He's got 6 penalty minutes in 6 games. We may need to be a bit more disciplined. You know what? Even though I really like Ulanov and he had a really strong game early on, I'm going to put Jarvis in because he's a two-way forward, just for at least one game. And then Ulanov could come back in again, but I do want to be better defensively on that fourth line, because obviously that fourth line might give up goals if there's a power forward on it or if he's taking a lot of penalties. And there's some players I could call up from the AHL, but right now I'd prefer to wait for next season for guys like Mashenko and Kazanov. And then defensively, there's not really anybody I'd call up anyways. So the question is, can this team find a way? Obviously, that third line becoming their second line doesn't look super good on paper, but it has been simulating good. So we're going to see what could happen here. We'll see if we could survive this series. But if we get eliminated in Game 7 here in Round 1, I don't really know what this team needs in terms of changes if we lose this game. Because we have such a great core. And the one thing that's been consistent for our team is the playoffs. We just can't find ways to win consistently in it and get ourselves that Stanley Cup. So we have been cursed so far. Can we find ourselves to the second round? We need to have a strong effort here. Play good defensively, play good in net, and then hopefully we can find our offense, considering the last game we were shut out. Let's see what happens. Game 7 on home ice. Come on, guys. Come on. Let's have that third line do well for us. That's now our second line. They opened the scoring. Riley Boychuk, of all people. That's like a fourth line guy scoring for them, so that's not great. Come on, guys. Let's get an answer here. We moved our third line up to our second line, our second line down to the third line. Maybe that could help things going forward, but so far, our offense is starting to dry up, which is not good. We have not scored a goal in 4 straight periods now. Shots are even 12-12. We need to have a good second period here. We cannot give up anything, and we need to find a way to get a couple goals of our own if we want to get back into this game, I think. So here we go. Second period. Can we tie this game up, please, boys? Yes, we can. Ragnarsson scores his first goal, I think, of the playoffs, but then Humphrey answers right back for them, but then Makinen answers back for us. Okay, we're starting to get some of the guys that have been quiet a bit scoring goals, so that's good, but this is still a close, nail-biting game. Bigras scores again. He's been big in the series, and he scores one here. Eklund then ties it right back up. Man, this is a crazy Game 7 so far. This has been a very neck-and-neck series. And we are going to be tied going into the third, 3-3, with the shots 26-22. We're only 40 minutes in this recording. I'm thinking almost about jumping in and watching this entire third period, but I think we might wait. At least 15 minutes of it. If there's 5 minutes left and it's still tied, we might jump in and watch. But this has been a really back and forth game. We had a great second period, 3 goals for, 2 goals against isn't great, but so far so good. Let's see if we could find a way to get that lead back in the third period. Come on, guys. This might be the last period of the season, so we need to come out strong. We need to come out strong. Third period underway. Come on, guys. Let's get that next one. Let's get that next one. Power play for us. We do not score. Come on. Oh, man, I might have to jump in soon. Come on, guys. Please. Hey, Nielakainen scores. We're not going to jump in now at this point unless they tie it up again. But Nielakainen makes it 4-3 for us. Can we hold them off? Final few minutes. And we do hold them off. Nielakainen's been an absolute gem in the series. We win this game 4-3. We win the series 4-3. Nielakainen with the big goal again. So he's had 3 third period goals in the series. And he sends us to the second round. Well, that's barely scraping by a team that we probably could have beat based on the record, but maybe that gives us a little bit of momentum going forward. That's an absolute huge win in Game 7. Like I said, I didn't know what to expect of this team, but we've now won 3 of our last 4 games. Maybe this team's starting to find itself a little bit. So Ragnarsson from Bjorkstrand and Giordano, Makinen from Nova Seltzev and Crane, Bigras from Leahy and Nielakainen, and Nielakainen from Bigras. That third line that got moved up to the second line has been absolutely imperative for us to get to this point. Let's friggin' go. And a 903 from Solovyov is good enough. 3 stars in that game, Nielakainen, Bigras, and Humphrey for them. Wow. I was not expecting our third line to become the best line on our team, so I'm glad I did move them up and gave them more ice time because they still produced. But we are going to find ourselves into the next round, which means we are going to be taking on the winner of the Blue Jackets and the Rangers. So that's going to be interesting because they're going to Game 7 as well. All right, well, let's take a look at our player stats from the first round of the playoffs, but it's been mainly the third line doing a lot of the work so far. Let's see what we got here. Yeah, it's been the third line. The third line's been absolutely awesome. Because if we just look at the forwards alone instead of going to each position, Leahy, 9 points in 7 games. Absolutely awesome. Neil Kinen, 8 points in 7 games. 2 game-winning goals in that series. Bigger, 7 points in 7 games. 1 game-winning goal. That line has just been so awesome. We could even move them around still in the lineup a bit more, but maybe keeping them together is always going to be a good thing for us. But then our top 6 started to figure itself out a little bit over the last few games, but not as good as that third line. Mackin on 5 points, Crane on only a goal and 4 points, so Crane needs to score more goals. Because obviously the year we went to the conference finals last year, he was our best player by far, so I still think our top guys will eventually start scoring more. Bjorkstrand on 3 points, Fido 3 points, Ulanov 2 goals in 6 games. We did scratch him for game 7, but he will be likely back in to start next round. Giordano's got to be better. Only 1 goal and 2 points. He's been not that great in the playoffs. Ragnarsson on 2 points, did have a goal last game at least. But at least everybody on our forward group had a point except for Jarvis, who only played the 1 game. From a defensive standpoint, Novoseltsov on 4. Houghton has been pretty quiet too, only at 3 points, despite being a very good defenseman in the last few years. Last year in the playoffs, he was actually really insane too. So he needs to be better. He had 25 points last year in 20 games in the playoffs, so if he could start getting going, then our offense will start going, I think, too. Tatar on 2 points, not bad, but a -4 and 14 penalty minutes. He's been a bit too aggressive, and he's not been good enough defensively, so he needs to be better. Schaefer on 2 points, +3. Holmstrom's been pretty bad defensively. -7 for the OFD. I think that was the case last year, too. Yeah, last year in the playoffs, he was -10 in 19 games, so far through 26 career playoff games, he's a -17. So, I don't know about of Holmstrom's like a guy I want to hold on to long term or what. He doesn't really work well with his coach, so maybe that's the problem. But yeah, he needs to be better. Hagen was pretty good defensively at least, so at least he's showing a little bit of promise with his defensive stats. And then from a goaltending perspective, it was inconsistent, so the numbers don't look the best right now from both Solovyov and Letowski, but we did find a way to win. And I think those numbers could improve if we play some better hockey consistently in the next round. So, shout out to the third line especially, though. I was not expecting them to have that type of first round at all. So, now the question is, who are we playing in round 2? Is it the Rangers or is it the Blue Jackets? We've played the Blue Jackets multiple times. The Rangers would have Guerin, and they would also have our former player in, Wallace and all that, I think, too. So the Rangers would be a very tough opponent to play against, and yeah, it would definitely be a highly anticipated rivalry. So we'll see who we end up playing here. The answer will be the Columbus Blue Jackets. Okay, well, that's better for us. We aren't going to have to run into the Rangers, which means Guerin's out in the first round, which is kind of surprising. But Adam Vintilli's been doing a lot of work apparently for the Blue Jackets as of late. But comparison so far here in the playoffs, you can see they are the 4th best offensive team so far, so they're scoring more than us. They're better defensively than us right now. They also have the best power play in the playoffs. We have not scored a power play goal in this entire playoff run right now. So that might be one thing that needs to be adjusted. The penalty kill, we've been pretty similar. So our power play woes continue from the regular season into the playoffs, which is not good. So I do think it can find itself against the Blue Jackets, but damn. That's crazy, not scoring a single power play goal in a round. All right, well, let's take also a look at during the regular season compared to the Blue Jackets. We know they've won a cup before. We've played them multiple times. We finished with 10 more points than them during the season. Offensively, we're a little bit better. We are much, much better defensively. We are better on the power play, and they were better on the penalty kill. All right, it kind of makes sense. We had more shorthanded goals than they did. We are pretty similar on home ice, both teams. They were not very good on the road, though. So that was pretty much the difference. All right, so what does Columbus look like at this point? We've played them, I think, 2 times in the last 2 years, maybe? I feel like we played them in round 2 recently. We played them in round 1 recently, too. Yeah, last year we played them in round 1. And then the year before that, when we went to the conference finals and lost to the Leafs, actually back-to-back conference finals, I forgot about that. Yeah, we played them in round 2, so I think this is the 3rd consecutive year we've played the Blue Jackets. So they probably look pretty similar, but they might have some adjustments. So let's see what they got here. Columbus. So here is their top line. It's still the same. Jacobson, Fantilli, and Marteau. I'm pretty sure that was the top line last year. Nagy still with Woodworth and Lindstrom. I think that's the same as it was as well. Woodworth is a great goal scorer. How much goals does he have this season? 29 goals only, so he's kind of dropping off a little bit in goal scoring, but he's still a good goal scorer. And he actually has 3 points in 2 playoff games, so I guess he was injured a little bit too to start off the playoffs. Aside from that, third line has Ola Axelsson. Michael Nice is still playing for them, and Vyacheslav, or Slavo, you could say, Vorobov. And a fourth line of Jonathan Pecker, Kent Johnson still playing at 37, and Fred Montador. That's a pretty good offensive core. Pretty good. A lot of older guys, though. That's the one thing that I'm noticing. But a lot of guys have been with this team for a while, like Fantilli and Johnson have been there since the beginning. Same with Caden Lindstrom. So, interesting. Defensively, they have Denton Matejchuk still. Braxton Wakabayashi, I'm pretty sure was still there last time we played them. Ty Nelson, Mika Nokalainen, Braden Regal. Don't know who that is. And, oh yeah, I forgot we traded Rudder to the Blue Jackets. Because Rudder was the enforcer defenseman. He was one of the guys we traded in the offseason because we couldn't fit him in. How did he do the season? 78 games, 50 penalty minutes, minus 12, 3 assists. Yeah, see, he's not really much of anything, but so far this playoffs, he's been okay too. But yeah, Rudder was not going to fit our team anymore, but it's interesting to see him actually playing for the Blue Jackets. From a goaltending perspective, they do still have Evan Gardner, who's been really good at times. I don't really know why, but he's been posting above 9-10 save percentages the last few years. And then in the playoffs, he's been okay at times as well. And they also do have Leonard Mathers. All right. And in depth, they have Matvey Petrov, Israel Trojanovic, and Marek Vanaker. All right. So only one guy with a gold X factor pretty much on the team. It's still a really good roster, and I know they've won cups, or one cup at least before, right? Yeah, it was back in 2037, so 3 years ago. So they're definitely still good, but I definitely think we have the better team. I definitely think we could beat them if we just beat a Philadelphia team that was a little bit better, I'd say. At least in terms of their top 6. Yeah, I think we definitely could beat Columbus, but who knows what the game wants to throw at us. So in terms of the rest of the playoff matchups, you have Ottawa, Toronto also in the Eastern Conference, so it's literally... we could end up playing Toronto in the conference finals again. We could end up playing the Senators in the conference finals, I think, like we did a few years ago as well, or a number of years ago. I feel like we've definitely played Ottawa in the conference finals, right? I know we played Montreal and Toronto so far, at least, but I know we've been to a lot of like conference finals before. But there's also Seattle, LA, Chicago, Colorado. So that means Salmelainen's still in the playoffs, which is interesting for Colorado. One thing I do want to take a look at actually is how good that Rangers team was, because we would have played the Rangers if they would have won in Game 7. And, okay, yeah, I'm kind of glad we didn't, but I could kind of see why they're still not a great team. Like, Guerin's obviously the best player by far. Wallace got a lot of statistical growth after he's left us, but this team does not have a lot of depth to it. So maybe we actually did prefer the Rangers, but Guerin probably would have tore us apart. So, I can definitely see why the Blue Jackets won. Quinn Hughes as a healthy scratch is kind of strange, especially in New York. But yeah, Guerin would have been a thorn in our side, because he had 10 points in that first round despite the loss. So, kind of glad we don't have to go up against him. Also, the Rangers did win a cup recently too, right? Yeah, 6 years ago. So, them and the Blue Jackets, both cup champions. I don't know if any of these other teams are cup champions as well that are still in the playoffs. I don't feel like they are, but I'm not too sure. Anything else we want to take a look at before we end this episode? Oh yeah, one thing I wanted to let you guys know on is we do actually, since we do have Dallas's first round pick, Dallas missed the playoffs this year. So we do actually have a lottery pick from Dallas from that Frondell deal. So who knows, maybe it becomes the first overall pick in this year's draft, but it's kind of good to see that our team's doing really good, and we're also going to get a chance to draft a really good prospect in the offseason. So anyways, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of New York Islanders franchise mode. So in next episode, we'll take it to round 2 against Adam Fantilli in the Columbus Blue Jackets as we look to get to a conference finals like we did last year and I think the year before that as well. This team had a little bit of an inconsistent first round, but I think we're starting to find that offense from our top 6 a bit more. That third line, if it continues to produce like that, we could definitely have a lot more offensive games. And if we could play better defensively consistently, I think we're going to be in a good spot. So hopefully the team's going to trend in the right direction after that tough 7 games with Philadelphia. Send anything down below, and I'll see you guys next time.